So give people a sense for what it was like on the House floor during the break-in of the Capitol.
Well, keep in mind, so it's Wednesday. The Constitution requires that we meet on January 6th at 1 o'clock and count the electors. And so we were in the process of doing that. And in so doing, the vice president comes in, the Senate, the House, and we meet in joint session. And obviously, there was a lot of energy on the mall that was building, and we knew that going in. And we were watching news accounts, and we were seeing it on social media. We knew that the president had spoken to the crowds earlier. We knew that there was a lot of energy. And obviously, Capitol Hill Police was, out in the front of the Capitol building, and we were all watching that. But we went and did our jobs, and we assumed all of that was, normal and relatively under control. So we're on the floor of the House of Representatives, and we approve Alabama and Alaska. And then we get to Arizona, and obviously there's an objection by my colleague Paul Gosar and by my former boss, Ted Cruz, from the Senate. You have to have an objection from both. Once the objections were heard, then the vice president rightfully says, okay, well, rightfully under the Electoral Count Act, some disagreement over that constitutionality of that act, but we then divide the chambers and go vote. So Senate goes back to the Senate, we stay in the House, and we're debating. Now for 2 hours, we get up to 5 minutes each and have debate. So we're in the process of debating, and we're probably half an hour in, and we're all seeing and hearing that some things are heating up, and you can start to see some increased presence of Capitol Hill Police and law enforcement in and around the chamber. And then we had a halt to our activities and a call for all of us to kind of stay in place, and they started locking doors of the chamber and said there had been a breach to the United States Capitol. But that at this point, they believed everybody was safe, but they were taking care of that breach. And so we sat there for a few minutes, and then we resumed debate. It's all right. We have a job to do. Let's go do this. And so we resumed debate. And then we debated for a few minutes longer, and then it was clear we were hearing noises, a lot of movement, a lot of kind of chaos. And our phones were buzzing and lighting up, and so they came in and we shut down debate. And at that point, it became very real. They asked us to pull out masks from under our seats because tear gas had been fired off in the Capitol Rotunda. And we could hear a lot of commotion, and they were locking down all the doors further. And then there was efforts to start barricading the front doors, and then there was banging on our front door. The door when the American people see when the president walks in for the State of the Union, that door, the door that proceeds out to the Rotunda. That door was being banged and ultimately glass smashed and shattered. We were hunkered down in our locations. I say hunkered down. I mean, I was standing there, but we were, on the floor. And I was down on the front of the well because I was supposed to speak soon. I was one of the ones granted time to speak, and I ultimately gave my speech at night after all this passed. And because I was at the front of the well, the Capitol Police had come over to one of the other doors on that side of the chamber and asked us to exit. And so, again, we're all hearing all of this. And, this is obviously a surreal moment. I'm in the United States Congress, and we're counting the electors of the President of the United States, and the American people are rallying outside of the Capitol, all appropriate under the First Amendment. But now some element, and I don't know who they are. I don't know if they're armed. I don't know if they're MAGA supporters of the president. I don't know if they're Antifa. I don't know if they're QAnon. I don't know who they are, but they're people, and they're coming into and I'm sitting on the floor of the House unarmed. I'm essentially a sitting duck on the floor of the House of Representatives at this point if Capitol Police isn't able to sustain a perimeter and defend the chamber. By the way, we should have our right to bear arms and be able to defend ourselves on the floor of the House of Representatives, and we're going to be having that discussion. But then we got to the place. They came in, opened those doors, and so I was there, and we were ushering out a good block of the members on the floor. Now, not all 435 members were there. It was probably, somebody can go look up the record, 150, couple hundred of us. But anyway, we then exit the chamber and then went off to another part of the Capitol complex into a secure location where we could gather for the afternoon. Now, that took a while to get everybody assembled there and to kind of move them through the complex and get them to that place. And then I was there. I wasn't going to do that without seeing my staff. So I went to go check on my staff, and my office is in the Longworth building. So I went to my staff and made sure they were good, and then got my staff and myself to a secure location. And look, here's the most important part. It was a tragic day. There was loss of life. The Capitol was attacked. Doors were smashed. but we did our job. We came back. We met the Senate and the House. We did our job through the night and into the morning, and I was proud to be there on the floor of the House at 4 a.m. when the current vice president, who was the loser of the election, did his job, honored his oath. We opened the electors' envelopes, we counted them, and we will now have the peaceful transition of power. But this peace requires statesmanship by both left and right. And that would be my admonition to the incoming administration, to remember what we've just witnessed.